Ah, what a perfect day for not having disembodied voices in my house.
You said it.
Well, that didn't take long. Hey, wait a minute. That's not just any disembodied voice. That's world-renowned video game merchandise-based YouTuber Pat Mac!
Huh, it's almost like we planned this.
But seriously, dude, I love your videos, and I'm really excited to have you here.
Thanks. Hey, what you reading there?
Oh, this? It's just an old Mario comic. I love looking at stuff like this. It's weird, but really fascinating.
I know exactly what you mean. That kind of stuff is what my videos are all about.
Exactly. In fact, seeing as how these books just so happen to relate to both of our channels, and seeing as how my collab videos always seem to come out around this time, why don't we spend the next
20 minutes
talking about the Mario comics?
Okay.
Hey, paisanos, and welcome to my third annual Summer of Mario. From now until I inevitably burn myself out for making so many videos in the span of just a few weeks, we're gonna dig our hopefully washed hands into the Mario pile and pull out whatever cool or obscure things are worth talking about.
And there's plenty out there. From the slew of cartoons, OVAs, merchandise, and the timeless Disney classic that is the live-action movie, there's practically no creative medium that Mario hasn't explored at least once by now. But while many of these have already been talked about at great lengths by other online personalities in the past, including the two of us, one aspect of the Mario franchise that doesn't seem to get much attention is the jump to comics.
Mario's comic career was surprisingly rather extensive. I'm sure most of us are familiar with the Super Mario Adventures, and we'll get to those later, but there was also Super Mario Kun, a manga series in Japan that I know next to nothing about, and the German Club Nintendo magazine also had its fair share of Mario comics too. These would have Mario going to Wonderland, being attacked by Jason Voorhees, and squaring off against characters from Street Fighter?
Germany didn't mess around. Yeesh.
This story, however, begins with Valiant Comics, a company founded in 1989 by former Marvel employees, and somehow, just a year later, they were able to score the rights to produce comic books based on Nintendo properties. Mario Mania was in full swing during the late 80s and early 90s, and Nintendo just had to capitalize on it as much as they could. This led to the creation of the Nintendo Comics System, a collection of stories based on The Legend of Zelda, Captain N, and of course, Super Mario Bros.
When it comes to Mario comics, there's quite a lot of ground to cover. I don't think we'll be able to go through it all, and we won't be talking about the German comics, mostly because I don't feel like it. So today, we're just gonna play it safe and talk about the Valiant comics and the Adventures comics.
Man, I haven't been this excited about anything Mario related since I found out the Mario 3 cartoon is available on Steam.
Wait, it is? I am feeling so many conflicting emotions right now.
So the Valiant comics, in terms of plot, almost feel like a loose extension of the cartoons. Bowser, or the occasional villain of the week, would be up to no good, and somebody, whether it be the Mario Brothers or even Princess Toadstool, would have to stop them. Other times, our heroes would find themselves in trouble and have to find a way out.
Wait, hold on a second. That's supposed to be Wart? He looks like Barney the Dinosaur if he was green and had his own vaudeville act.
Well, since the stories were grouped together in collections, the books would contain 2 big stories with shorter stories in between. Sometimes we would even get glimpses into the lives of other characters, like showing a page from Bowser and Fry Guy's high school yearbooks, or Mario and Luigi's family album. And other times they would parody real-world magazines with fake ads, like one for a Koopa-branded sunblock. There was also Dear Princess Toadstool, an advice column where characters from the book would write to the princess and she'd respond to them.
Dear Princess Toadstool, we know we're not the handsomest guys in the world. Do you think cosmetic surgery might help? Maybe. Although we're not very good looking now, things may improve. So how about dinner next Thursday? No. If we take a princess to dinner and a movie, Are we expected to pay for popcorn too? Yes, but no thanks times 3!
Yikes. Those are care about it levels of blunt. The comics had most of the same characters we all know and love, although they're not always written very interestingly. Luigi's said to be pretty shy, but he doesn't show those characteristics very much. Even Mario can be kinda one note, though in this world, he's a huge fan of this comic book series called Dirk Drainhead. And there have been a few stories where that fandom really brings out the best in him. Like Dirk Drainhead was what inspired Mario to be more heroic.
So he's basically the Kevin to Mario's SpongeBob?
Hi, Kevin.
Yeah, I guess that works. I think the most interesting thing about the Valiant comics is that we actually get to see Princess Toadstool's father. The Mushroom King is a recurring character that appears from issue to issue, and his bumbling, hot-headed nature makes for a humorous contrast to Toadstool's gentler and more subdued demeanor. Then again, she's also got a bit of an edge to her. She can be pretty no-nonsense, and at times, she's able to take control of a situation. In Bowser Knows Best, the Koopalings kidnap her as a Father's Day present for Bowser, but she's able to trick them into letting her go by making them think he chose not to celebrate a made-up holiday with them. She even teases them by making an arrow out of cake crumbs pointing them to where she is, just so they can watch her get away. I really like how cunning and playful the writers made her in these books.
Yeah, on that front, you can really tell there was a lot of fun to be had when writing for these comics. There's a level of wackiness that doesn't seem too out of place in a Mario setting, and there are some legitimately really funny jokes. This pipe reminds me of my apartment in Brooklyn, except it's bigger and has running water. You know, sometimes the princess reminds me of my ex-girlfriend.
Sometimes King Koopa reminds me of your ex-girlfriend.
Mario, that's a perfectly adequate Snakey. Snakey's my favorite because he's so dull. Like me.
That's just sad. Funny, but sad. And obviously more effort must have gone into the writing because boy do these art styles clash. Most of the time the characters retain their Super Mario Bros. Super Show designs, but other times it's like the artists tried to make them look more like their official game artwork, if not directly copying it. Then we have the Toads, where some of them look more like normal Toads, and others look like white blobs with yellow mushroom heads. Also, for some reason, there are times when Toad is called Toady, and one of them thinks he's a rooster, I guess?
Oh, come on. There's nothing strange about standing outside of people's houses at the crack of dawn and screaming cock-a-doodle-doo to wake them up.
There's something you're not telling me.
What? I only do it on Thursdays. I mean, never. Nope, no, I never do that.
Who am I to judge? Anyway, now that we've given you a general sense of what the Valiant comics are like, I think it's time we looked at a full story. For this, we're going to be focusing on Beauty and the Beach, since that's the one featured in my special swimsuit issue, which is currently the only physical book that I have. I should probably mention it also has a Captain N story about Samus falling in love with Kevin. It's about on par with a Samus X Reader fanfic, so if you want more of that, then just go to Wattpad or something.
The story begins with Mario, Princess Toadstool, and Toad on a boat in the middle of the ocean. They initially planned on going for a 3-hour tour.
A 3-hour tour?
But apparently they've been lost for about 2 days. As they pass through uncharted waters, their boat gets attacked by piranhas, and this causes them to wash up on a deserted island. But it turns out it's not so deserted after all, as they're greeted by a toad named Moonfungi, who makes them get changed into bathing suits as it's part of the boss's dress code.
Well, here I am, but this can't be right. Who ever heard of a swimsuit without ruffles?
Well, she doesn't seem to have a problem with black one pieces, if this joke's sunscreen ad is anything to go by. Cute joke about her being used to wearing dresses all the time, but there actually are swimsuits with ruffles. Remind me to delete my search history later.
Well, after they come out of the dressing huts, they see a bunch of other toads running towards a volcano while carrying bombs. One of them mentions that the boss instructed them to do this, as they claimed it'll heat up the volcano, scaring the fish away, so they can once again surf safely. But then, unsurprisingly, the boss turns out to be Bowser, or Kahoopa as the natives are calling him.
Kahupa reveals that he's using the toads to make the volcano erupt, engulfing the island and potentially the entire Mushroom Kingdom in lava, and turning the toads into Fry Guys. As he makes his escape, Mario and the princess scramble to think of a way to cool down the volcano. Then she suggests they gather bamboo to make a pump and run water from the ocean into the volcano. Whoa, damn, that booty, Peach, you thick.
I'll just say the comic has a great art style.
I'll say she be looking like a doggone snack. Oh, yeah, the water cools the volcano down, and the toads decide to use it as a jacuzzi. Everything's resolved kinda quickly, and despite the conclusion feeling a bit rushed, the story as a whole is a pretty fun read. The stakes are high, the setting is unique, it has a bit of a dark edge with the whole toads getting turned into Fry Guys thing, and it's got some chuckles here and there. There's not much else to say about it, it's a simple plot, and it's executed fairly well.
I'm not sure why it's called Beauty and the Beach, though. It doesn't seem to have much to do with the story at all. If we have to stick with puns, Mario vs. the volcano would have been more fitting.
Huh, there's a bit of irony there. But while we're talking about Mario comics, we have to wrap things up with arguably the most famous of them.
Ah, yes. The Super Mario Adventures was a series of comics published monthly from January to December 1992 in Nintendo Power Magazine, rest in peace, and were written by Kentaro Takakuma and drawn by Charlie Nozawa. The comics were released in a serialized format, all collectively part of a bigger story, so one comic released in one issue would directly connect to the next comic released in the next issue. All 10 parts of the comic were later compiled into a graphic novel, which was exclusive to Nintendo Power readers via mail order. This collection also featured a bonus story called Mario vs. Wario, which basically elaborated on Wario's personal history with Mario. Very fun stuff.
Then in 2016, an official reprint of the graphic novel was released by Viz Media, and I jumped on that like a movie-based channel to the Rise of Skywalker hate train. Seriously, look at all these videos. You don't have to like it, but some of these titles are a bit extreme, don't you think? I mean, come on, it wasn't that bad. I should probably stop talking about this before things get out of hand. I think I've said this before in one or two other videos, but outside the video games, the Super Mario Adventures is my favorite iteration of the franchise, and to me, it's the most definitive. There is so much going on in this book, so we don't have the time to give it a scene-by-scene breakdown like Beauty and the Beach. The basic premise is your typical Mario fluff. Princess Peach gets kidnapped, and Mario and Luigi have to save her. But what these comics do with that setup is what makes the Super Mario Adventures so great. It's right there in the title. It's not just a matter of getting from point A to point B, it's a stream of consciousness-style journey, putting the Mario Brothers, and especially Peach, through one crazy event after another.
Which gives the artist and writer a great opportunity to really express their creativity. The artwork is fantastic. It can be cutesy and cartoony, but also harsh and gritty. The designs are recognizable, but now the characters offer a much wider degree of expressions. These comics are immensely charming and wildly creative, and the artwork beautifully complements the writing. When a character gets scared, their face changes to that of a more realistic-looking human, emphasizing the horror they're witnessing. When Bowser turns the toads into stone, their screams of terror get turned into stones as well. When Bowser puts on a wedding at the end with this cake as a huge centerpiece, most of the fight between him and Mario takes place inside of it. Mario games are often known for their wackier elements, and Super Mario Adventures taps into that zaniness with no remorse. It doesn't undermine the gravity of the situations at hand, but in a world full of talking mushrooms, giant killer turtles, and dinosaurs with as much of an understanding of the English language as a Pokemon, it wisely doesn't take itself too seriously. This is a series of comics meant to give the readers a laugh, while keeping them entertained with good writing and characters.
Hit the boot to the head right there. And the way the characters are portrayed is perfect, absolutely perfect. Mario's the headstrong leader, Luigi's more timid and easily frightened, Bowser's all about spectacle but isn't very bright, and Peach, she is amazing in these comics. Sweet and adorable on the outside, but fierce and aggressive on the inside. She doesn't just let Mario and Luigi do all the work when her people are in trouble, she dives off the balcony and goes after Bowser herself. She doesn't sit around and wait for somebody to rescue her, she kicks the crap out of the Koopalings and flies out the window with a makeshift cape. She doesn't waste time worrying about Mario after he gets taken captive, she switches clothes with Luigi to go in disguise and weaken Bowser's forces from inside, even threatening to blow the whole place up.
What a woman.
Even the new characters, for as few appearances as they make, are still fun in their own right, my favorite being Friendly Floyd. Friendly by name, but not so much by nature. He's a conniving salesman who provides Mario and Luigi with a book on how to interpret Yoshi language, and the book isn't very helpful since everything is just Yoshi. Now I get the feeling if this guy was an Uber driver, he'd be the kind to take you halfway across the country when you just want to go to the Dunkin' down the street.
But hopefully by now, you understand why we love these comics so much. The Super Mario Adventures is a wonderfully written, wonderfully drawn, wonderfully creative ride from start to finish, and one of the best pieces of Mario media out there. It's so good, in fact, there's a rumor going around that the upcoming Super Mario Bros. Movie by Illumination is going to be inspired by it in some way. If it's true, we should be in for something really good there. The Viz Media graphic novel reprint should be readily available online, or if you're more of a listener than a reader, we recommend you check out these fan-made comic dubs by YouTube channels Tattoo Pedigree and Dub Matters. Links to them will be in the description.
So, unless you lived in Germany, that was pretty much it for Mario's comic career. And after all these years, he never stepped foot in the world of comic books again. There was a pitch created by Archie Comics, but for whatever reason, it was rejected. That's a real shame, because Archie's Sonic and Mega Man lines were really good from what I've read. And the artwork I've seen of their Mario pitch is incredible, so I would have loved to see more of their take on the Mario universe.
Well, there is Dark Horse Comics. They've had some success with Stranger Things and Umbrella Academy, and they've even worked with Nintendo before to publish books like the Super Mario Bros. Encyclopedia and The Art of Super Mario Odyssey. So maybe through that relationship, we can expect to see more Mario comics in the future?
Well, we can only hope. Either way, thanks for joining me for this one, dude.
Thanks for having me on. Well, I'd better get going now. I've got, stuff to do.
Cool. You have fun with that.
See ya!
That was weird. What should I do now?
Cock-a-doodle-doo!
Huh. This is actually pretty cathartic. Hey, could you keep the noise down? I'm in hibernation right now, and I'm not supposed to wake up until the Series X comes out. Haldo, thanks for watching my first video for Summer of Mario 2020. And before we get into the Patreon stuff, I just want to give a sincere and clearly unscripted thank you to Pat Mac for taking part in this. I'm genuinely a massive fan of his channel, and I've been a fan of his work for quite a number of years, and I was just so honored and humbled and privileged by the fact that he agreed to take part in this. So, Pat, if you're watching this, and hopefully you are, then thank you so much for collabing with me on this. It was so much fun to have you on. If anybody watching this is not familiar with Pat's work at all, somehow, then please go check out his channel because he makes some truly amazing stuff. And a little while back, he put out a video that I also helped out on. It's a video about different ports and re-releases of the original Super Mario Bros. You don't hear my voice in it, but you do hear my words because I actually contributed to the script. So if you like to hear my words come out of somebody else's mouth, I guess, then I'll link a video to that in the end card so you can go check it out if you haven't seen it. But again, I want to give a huge thank you to Pat for being a part of this. It truly meant a lot to me that you said yes to even doing this in the first place. But I would also like to give a very special thanks to the patron whose name is scrolling across the screen right now, as well as my superstar supporters for this month, Henry Newman and Jake Winans. If you'd like to support the channel as well, if you'd like to see your name appear on screen, or if you want to hear me say your name then please consider pledging to my Patreon page or become a sponsor for this channel if you're watching on YouTube by clicking the join button. All these are totally optional, but it would mean so much to me if you gave it a look. I've got a lot of other Summer of Mario videos in the pipeline. Hopefully I'll be able to get to all of them. I'm not sure. The schedule might shift around just a little bit, so I can't make any promises on what exactly is going to be coming. But if you'd like to stay tuned for any of it, then please be sure to stay subscribed and click the notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I put any of these videos out. Links to my social media and Discord server are in the description. Thanks again for watching. And with that said, this is Marc bidding you all a smashing farewell. Bye everyone.